Hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Common Sense Guys channel. Sorry that I've been away recently. I've actually been on holiday, nowhere massively in particular, but a really good time with parents and my missus as well. It was a really good holiday actually, really relaxing, really enjoyed it. But then I come back, I find out that Theresa May's left and all that sort of good stuff. I get a request from somebody as well. By the way, if you actually wanted to do a request for yourself as well, you can do one of two things. You could also go to Patreon and sign up to become a Patreon. If you also wanted to just do a one-pay donation to actually be able to get a request for yourself, then you can go to PayPal while sending me a message afterwards on Twitter or onto DMs or whatever to be able to let me know what you actually want or the message with the PayPal. And then I will go off and I will try and do some research and I will try to produce a video to that sort of standard. But let's get back to the Boris Johnson thing. So the case that's coming up against Boris Johnson is supposed to be about the £350 million per week that supposedly goes to the EU. Now, me, you, the cat's dog, and even the dog's cat knows that the £350 million per week was a gross figure. It was the total figure if we were to pay the full amount without having a rebate. Now, it actually comes back from the rebate at around about, I believe, I will quote it later properly, but £156 million per week that we do pay to the EU. And it's actually gone up by around about 2.3% or around about 3.2%, depending on what statistics that you actually go and have a look at. But besides the point on that one, let's actually focus on the actual court case that seems to be coming through. But I feel that it's important because my whole case on this video is going to be predicated by the fact that Boris Johnson has always alluded to it being a gross figure and then talking about the 10 billion that goes to the EU as a net figure. The difference between a gross figure and a net figure. Now, before we do get into this video, I can hear other people going, well, that's already misleading. Yeah, misleading may be. But it is quoting statistics. It is quoting what actually would happen if we didn't have a rebate. And it's actually quoting what happens when we have a statistical point. This is actually factually correct. He never lied whatsoever in his presentation. So where's the lie? Anyway, let's get into the video and let's actually see Boris Johnson actually saying that this is a gross figure rather than it being a net figure, shall we?
Sadiq Khan called you a big fat liar. Paddy Ashdown did not dissent from that description. Are you a big fat liar?
Well, listen, I can't say much about my weight at the moment, Piers, but let's be clear. I think that what the Remain campaign were talking about was the huge sums of money that we send to Brussels, and of that there can be no doubt whatever. We send net last year, £10.5 billion that we're never going to see again. Some of it goes on Greek tobacco farming, some of it goes on supporting bullfighting, for heaven's sake, in the Iberian Peninsula. That is not, in my view, a good use of UK taxpayers' money.
So, straight away here, that we also have the point that I've just alluded to. The £10 billion, he has quite eloquently just said that it's to do with a net figure. A net figure. Meaning that that is what we pay. That is what we pay. That's a final payment of either giving what it comes into, and then what comes out, and that's what we actually pay. Because that's what the rebate is. We're supposed to be paying around something to the equivalent of around about 18 billion a year to the EU. Around about. A couple of £1 million off. But around about 18 billion that we're supposed to pay. But because we get around about 5.8 to 6.2 billion pound rebate roundabout again, is a case of we get that money back, so we don't actually have to pay the full amount, which is why it comes down to around about 10.5 to 10.8 billion pound that actually goes to the EU. So Boris Johnson at this point in time is not saying anything that's factually incorrect. Nothing.
To be driving around in a German bus with a figure on the blazoned across it, which he knows is completely misleading, because he knows that that amount of money is not actually what it costs us. He's got a point, hasn't he?
No, because that sum of money, as we've exhaustively covered in this campaign so far, is entirely accurate. It is the sum that we cannot control, that Brussels preempts. Yes, it is true that some of it includes the rebate, but you cannot rely on the rebate. That is dwindling, has dwindled, and may not last beyond 2020. And it is entirely at the discretion of the rest of the EU.
So, as you can quite clearly hear, Boris Johnson is actually saying, at this precise moment in time, that that was the gross figure, the complete figure that we do not control, which is technically correct. That would be the gross figure if we did not get a rebate. And then goes into the point of pointing out that the rebate is what lowers the actual money to our net figure of 155 to 156 million pound per week to the EU. So again, he is not factually wrong. He is choosing not to go with the net figure, sure, but he is pointing out that the gross figure is solely at the congression of the EU. If they want to take away the rebate away from the UK, that is the total figure that we would have to pay. That would be absolutely correct for him to then say that that is the gross figure and could turn into the net figure, which is kind of what he's trying to point out every time that he speaks about the £350 million that was on the side of a bus. The fact that that could be the total amount that we pay. That is the gross figure, the complete figure of what we pay. I think I've rambled on far too much about this. So let's carry on to one more point where he actually says the actual words gross figure, shall we?
And
so that
we think that money would be better directed
a week
by
figure, which you have emblazoned on the side of the bus, is not the net figure,
in
is
this
it?
country. No, but I've never, I think I've now been, and I think probably I said this to you, Susanna, I don't know whether you were there ages ago, I said this from the very beginning. This is the gross figure, and it's worthwhile to use the gross figure.
So, there you go. Boris Johnson actually saying, no, this is not the net figure that we would pay. This is the gross figure. And that's him actually saying those words, not implying it, not trying to escape round it. Those are his words saying, this is the gross figure we would have to pay. It is not the net figure. So now that that has been made abundantly clear to what Boris Johnson has been trying to say all the way through that campaign, let's get into the actual video about the court case. Yay! So this is the actual page of Brexit Justice, apparently. So according to Brexit Justice, which you can read just in its opening paragraph, is apparently a desire to challenge the national problem of lying in UK politics, which, in principle, I completely and utterly agree with. Problem though, very big problem, if that was your sole goal, then why have you called yourself Brexit Justice? If you honestly felt and thought that this was all to do with justice and this is all to do with stopping politicians from lying, you wouldn't have called yourself Brexit Justice, because your actual aim and goal seems to be to stop Brexit. That's what it seems to be. Because why would you not go against Jeremy Corbyn for, say, for instance, I will deal with the student debt, and so on and so forth. Going through the actual policy themselves of saying when David Cameron, when Nick Clegg, when David Miliband all said that there was not ever going to be a European army. Now, I know a lot of people go, oh, well, that's a conspiracy theory. Yeah, well, it was supposed to be at the time, but guess what? Some conspiracy theories actually come true, and that is one of them. we now have a EU army and directive for an army coming forth and is going to be accepted by the EU and force people to join it, regardless. But hey, why aren't we going against them and telling them that they were liars? Because I'm sure that what they've said as well would have influenced a lot of people to remain. What about Mr. Osborne also coming out and actually saying in themselves that if we were to leave, we would be down 3-point-something% into a recession, that we would almost tank our economy, that there would be over 500,000 jobs that have lost. And yet, we've actually gained more jobs and actually are in a better economic condition since leaving Brexit than before we left, or before we implemented the idea of leaving. So why are we not going after all the people that have lied? Why are you only going after Boris Johnson for this lie? I can't think what the motive could be for that. I just can't think. So Brexit Justice is not for a profit limited company with a social aim, and that social aim is not what it actually states that it is, which is to go against the actual lying politicians, but is to actually try and have a social aim to stop Brexit. So the gentleman in question is called a Marcus J. Ball, and he is the main man behind the public persecution of Boris Johnson over the 350 million a week campaign slogan. So, according to this, Ball has had run multiple enterprises before striking Boris gold, having incorporated himself as a company. By the way, that actually means in itself that he has made himself a company. Interesting. But as a company with overdue accounts, a criminal offence under the Companies Act, and had another that was struck off. Strangely, the original crowdfunding video has disappeared from the website, but apparently this one has actually found that video. But before we go into the video, let's actually go to Companies House to see if what this actually says is true, shall we? So, this is Michael J. Ball Individual Limited. Yes. I wanted to make sure that I did this as a video so nobody could accuse me of trying to doctor any of this. I will obviously be linking every single aspect of evidence that I've gathered or found in the description box below. But for people that don't want to do that, this is, as I said, his actual individual company. This is MJB Individual Limited. So follow this company, all that sort of stuff. I don't really care about the address of the company. It's been incorporated since 2017. Interesting. I can't remember when the actual vote happened. I just can't remember. I wonder if somebody in the comment section down below could tell me when the actual Brexit vote actually happened. I just don't know. So apparently, first accounts made up between 31st of July 2018 and are due by the 26th of April 2019. So over a year of no accounts being paid. Interesting. So let's go into filing history and just have a quick look. See if there's anything in there that we can have a look. So that's it. So a confirmation statement and him making himself as a corporation. Statement of capital and everything else like that. I'm not going to go through all of that. There's no need for me. You can link it and go through it yourself if you want to. But interesting, isn't it? Since September 2018, around about 8-9 months ago, there has been no funding, no money, nothing going into the account. And the only times that this is actually made any money or actually put anything into the actual account was on that date, which was a year and 2 to 3 months after its first conception. Interesting, isn't it? It's almost like somebody's doing this for the money rather than actually doing it for, I don't know, the actual getting liars out of politics. Let's have a look and see how much money that this person is actually getting on crowdfunding, shall we? So, oh lordy lordy lord. So, he has, at this moment in time, £295,880. So, interesting. Notice how the actual Brexit justice prosecution is actually Ball versus Johnson. It's not the Brexit justice prosecution, but is actually Ball versus Johnson. That's a bit narcissistic, isn't it? Considering that you're the one who's supposed to be going out and getting rid of all of these lies from the politicians. Seems a bit interesting that you've paid no money to yourself as a corporation, but yet, or paid off your account as being a corporation for over a year, and yet you're almost at £500,000 and well over £250,000 as recording for your funding. Interesting. I wonder what this could actually be about. I wonder. And if anybody wants to have the idea of why I think this, let's go and have a look at his actual video from his previous crowdfunder that he actually deleted because of this video. Let's go and have a look, shall we?
We estimate that we will eventually need £2 million. I've worked on this for 2 years now, and we're finally ready to do this thing.
First of all, you say that you need around about £2 million to be able to do this thing. Why has your crowdfunder changed? Why is it now down to 500 grand then? If you genuinely needed £2 million for this to be able to go forward.
If people are willing to fund me, I am going to prosecute you.
Yes, he's going to prosecute Boris Johnson. He's going to prosecute Boris Johnson for this. For actually going across and actually saying that the gross figure is £315 million that we would actually pay to the EU, and we would have no control over that if the rebate was taken away from us. Good luck. Good luck. Though I would say this is more of a propaganda piece more than anything else. But hey, let's carry on.
What do you think, Boris? Will they?
Anybody else feel a little bit uncomfortable? Like, he may want his dick? Because, wow. Just wow. This is the person that's trying to take Boris Johnson to court over lies. But hey, I suppose justice will prevail. Right, now we come to the end of the video, ladies and gentlemen. But before you all start clicking off and everything, please listen to this last little bit. All of the source material that I have used is in the description box down below, including the ONS statistical reports, the National Statistics Agency, which, and I quote, says that Boris Johnson was using misleading quotes, misleading statistics. Not lying. Not lying. And that is from the National Statistics Agency, which is linked down below. So is everything else that you need to have a look, including Company House, including the ONS, as I said, and National Statistics, all of the news articles that are down there with the original video, with all the other bits and pieces in there as well. So please go and have a look. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research and actually have a look about what's going on. Last little point, please like and subscribe to this channel and to watching this video. But most importantly, Thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. It means a hell of a lot to me that you guys actually watch these videos and actually listen to what I have to say and what I think. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and whatever you may identify yourself as nowadays, thank you very much. Bye-bye. Speak to you all again real soon. Bye-bye for now.